Indiana Congressman Larry Bucshon receives a national award for his voting record. The Ferdinand Town Council gets closer to selling its vacant former police station building. And sports with Kurt Gooksell. Those stories and much more are up next here on 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. In your news at this hour, Indiana 8th District Representative Larry Bucshon received the Spirit of Enterprise Award yesterday morning for his record of pro-growth voting in the United States House. The award, presented by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, comes as a result of Bucshon's voting record of supporting free enterprise, entrepreneurship, and job creation. The U.S. Chamber says Bucshon's record includes his votes last year for the establishment of permanent normal trade relations with Russia, as well as his votes to repeal some provisions of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. Bucshon says he is honored to be recognized by the U.S. Chamber for his voting record. U.S. Chamber President and CEO Thomas Donahue says Bucshon provided a strong congressional voice for American job creators. Bucshon was one of 300 congressmen to be honored with this award and one of 252 that came from the U.S. House. Last night, the Ferdinand Town Council came across an interesting twist in the bidding for its former police station. The previous highest bid of the process, made by Roger Quanti, was withdrawn from the process with council approval, as the original advertising said a bidder couldn't withdraw a bid once the bid had been placed. In the end, the existing high bid of $42,500 from Paul Gogol was accepted. However, the bidding process is not over. The Town Council now has 30 days to decide whether to ultimately approve or reject the bid due to the amount of the bid being less than 90% of the appraised value of the property. That number was set at just under $57,400, which is 90% of the average of the two appraisals of the property. Gogol's bid was submitted on the condition that the property could be rezoned from its current industrial zoning to Business B1 zoning. The council accepted that condition of Gogol's bid, but also put a condition of their own on the bid. Ferdinand Town Attorney Bill Schoenefeld explains.
They made clear to the property owner that in approving the bid, they're not approving the zoning. There's a process for that, procedure for that, and they would reserve the right to not approve the zoning. And if they don't, then of course that will end that arrangement. They'll have to start over on the bidding.
Schoenefeld says due to the fact that the bid value was less than 90% of the appraised value of the property, state statute requires public advertising for this bid. Additionally, the Ferdinand Plan Commission also has to approve the rezoning. Schoenefeld says he feels if the council had reservations about the use of the property by the bidder, the bid probably would not have made it this far.
I don't believe they would have moved forward tonight if they would have had some concern regarding the use of the property. And they will ultimately make that decision. On the other hand, they've reserved the right to vote against it because there's a process. They need to have a Plan Commission hearing on it, hear what Plan Commission members think, hear what neighbors or others that might have a concern think.
The public can make their feelings on the bid known at the next Town Council meeting on Tuesday, May 14th. That portion of the meeting is set for 8 p.m. on the 14th. Schoenefeld says the council will decide that night whether or not to move forward with finalizing the acceptance of the bid. If the bid is not ultimately accepted by the council, Schoenefeld says the bidding process would start over in some way. The Northeast Dubois School Board meeting was held last night. Some of the board members have been asked to present their school system's evaluation tool at a conference in Indianapolis next Thursday. Northeast Dubois developed their own evaluation process, which is unique from most other schools. The board is excited to be asked to present in front of a sold-out conference of Indiana-based school corporations. This system that Northeast Dubois has developed is in its second year. Bill Hoeksang, superintendent of Northeast Dubois School Corporation, says the entire board is excited that this format, apart from the normal for Indiana school corporations, has been successful.
We were just a school that developed our own system rather than using the RISE system that the state provided, and which approximately 80% of the schools in the state used RISE. Well, we decided last school year to take on a very large project, and that was develop our own system. And we're, it's not the perfect system, and neither is RISE, but we're happy with it, and we're revising it as we go, and we feel like it's serving our need.
Hoeksang says their presentation is approximately 45 minutes long, but they may go over the allotted time because there are so many dynamics to their format. He says it has been very successful, and they want to share their findings with the other school corporations in attendance. As the Indiana Senate prepares to adjourn for this year's legislative session, one important element of this year's legislation has been agriculture bills. District 47 State Senator Richard Young, who represents parts of Crawford, Dubois, Harrison, Orange, Perry, and Washington counties, says the most significant of the agriculture bills to pass has been Senate Bill 319, which deals with how farmland is assessed for property taxes in the future. Young says the Department of Local Government Finance had made changes to the formula in how farmland property taxes are calculated through soil productivity factors in the formula. Young says should the changes be implemented, they would result in a sizable increase in property taxes for some farmers, with some paying 20% more in property taxes than in recent years. Young says the reaction that he has heard from farmers concerning the potential tax changes has not been favorable.
They were, they were very upset about it, and really thought the problem was that we couldn't come up with, the Department of Local Government really couldn't explain a justifiable reason why they had determined that we needed to make these changes.
Young says Senate Bill 319 puts the formula changes on hold until Purdue University and other groups can study the issue this year for review in next year's legislative session. He says farmland property taxes were frozen at their 2011 rates for this year. Also, a Senate resolution on agriculture has caused a bit of a stir. Senate Resolution 30, which proposes studying the addition of industrial hemp as another crop option for Hoosier farmers, was passed by Young, among others, for a summer study committee. The federal government currently doesn't allow farmers to grow hemp due to its residing in the cannabis family of crops right alongside marijuana. Young says several states, including Kentucky, have begun the process to add industrial hemp to their state's legal crop list, including looking to get permission from the government to grow it, and that now is a good time for Indiana to act on it. Young says although corn crops have been very profitable for farmers due to corn's use for ethanol, the possibility of Congress taking ethanol subsidies in the future could cause Hoosier farmers to seek other options.
If that does, it could have a big impact on the ethanol industry, which could have a negative impact on corn growers, in which case they may be seriously looking for additional crop to plant or something to fill in that vacuum that's created by the lack of the need for corn. And I think hemp would offer that potential opportunity.
In other notes, Young also says he did not support Senate Bill 373, known by some as the Ag-Gag Bill, which would ban filming or photography at Hoosier farms or factories without permission. Young says he found the bill as presented to be too controlling and hopes that changes to the bill can be made once action is taken on it in the Indiana House. As the town of Ferdinand nears its 175th anniversary in 2015, the Ferdinand Historical Society is already busy preparing. One way that the society is planning to honor the town's big anniversary: commemorative playing cards. All cards in a standard playing deck will be available for sponsorship with pictures of people and historical buildings among the options to put on the cards. Sponsorships range from $75 to $250 for the various cards. Sponsors will choose what photo and information goes on their card. Kathy Treader of the Ferdinand Historical Society says the idea for playing cards came up out of discussions about what the society wanted to do for the town's big anniversary. She says card playing is a big part of the town's history.
People really like to play cards. It's a long-held tradition in Ferdinand, and we thought the decks of cards would be so much fun to have someone's picture on it, or to have, again, an old business on it, or a vista of Main Street, or whatever.
Treader says the society plans to have 1,000 decks of cards available for sponsorship. She says those who sponsor a card will get a free deck. Treader says the card decks should be a fun way for the community to celebrate the big anniversary.
But it's just something kind of fun, something for the community, something unique to our community that highlights our rich heritage and our many traditions. I designed the back side of it with some kind of some tongue-in-cheek fun that is appropriate to Ferdinand.
Treader says the card decks should be in sometime later this year. A pictorial history book in which families can submit a photo and a 400-word history of their family is in the works for next year as part of the 175th anniversary celebration. The town of Ferdinand decided to sponsor a card during last week's regular town council meeting. The sponsorship was a $250 Ace of Hearts. For more information on card sponsorship, contact Kathy Treader at the numbers listed on your screen. Coming up after the break, rain clouds gave way to sunshine today, but will it last? That in your local forecast, sports with Kurt Gooksell, and Inform featuring Judy Brown of the Dubois County Soil and Water Conservation District and Chad Mundy of the Jasper Stormwater Department. That's all coming up next here on 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.